Sharon Froshen, Samantha D, and Beth Gray. Today we are talking about I choose. So the question I have for each one of you is, what are you choosing?
Life, vibrancy.
Today I'm choosing peppermint tea because I'm, what am I doing? I'm uploading a new immune system, right? Upgrading my immune system.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. How about you, Samantha D? What you choosing?
Today I chose ginger tea because I have some fresh ginger. So I tried it out with some tea and I've been drinking that all day.
Well, I've been drinking cocoa all day with coconut milk when I'm not drinking water, of course. But that's my go-to drink at the moment, simply because instead of caffeine, the way it lifts you up and wakes you up is that it oxygenates your blood more. So instead of affecting your neurotransmitters, it simply oxygenates the blood more, which is why you often see me with these the little red cheeks. That's the cocoa.
That happy glow from cocoa.
That happy glow from cocoa. Yeah, the chocolate glow. Yeah.
I tell you what, since we're talking about drinks and tea, I've got a blend of tea called Rose Garden. And whenever I'm feeling a bit down or disappointed about something, I'll make a Rose Garden tea and it just makes me happy. It just smells of roses and it's just nice, you know. It just, so I choose that on certain days.
Lovely. So anyway, today we're talking about choice. And, it's this whole question of total choice of I could choose to eat anything, but I choose to limit myself. And I really want to go into what am I choosing by choosing to limit myself? Because I prefer to see this as not that I'm saying no to something, but rather that I'm saying yes to something else. So I'd really love for us today to explore, what are you choosing in favor of? Who wants to start?
Oh, I'm happy to.
Okay, awesome.
2 years ago, I chose to start eating plant-based diet. And I know that every single food option in the universe is available to me. And I choose all of the plants. I feel better about what it's doing in my body. My body feels better. I'm happier for the animals who are not being harmed because of what I'm eating. And environmentally, I know that in my own small way, I'm helping to save the planet.
All righty.
Doesn't feel like a restriction of choice to me. It feels like just embracing all of that choice that's within the plant realm.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, Tony Lee and Patricia say hi. They're watching with us tonight, so I just wanted to add that in. Sharon, what are you choosing?
Much like Sarah, I also am vegan. 3 years ago, my liver started failing as a result of psychiatric medications and basically a lifelong pattern of bad nutrition choices. And I was given a not a very favorable diagnosis if I didn't change my nutrition. So while I am vegan, the majority, I take this beyond just what I put into my body to also what I put on my body, because the skin is the largest organ of the body. And I can say I'm vegan and put a bunch of stuff inside my body, but if I'm lathering the largest organ in my body with chemicals and stuff like that, I'm really not doing myself any good. So by choosing to use carrot seed oil as my moisturizer instead of a man-made lotion, I'm choosing at 35 SPF because I have light skin. I'm choosing, nutrition that goes into my skin. I'm choosing capillaries that are full and vibrant by not putting soap on my scalp, by not putting standard soap on my skin, but by using a coconut oil derivative. I'm ensuring that I don't cause my skin to be dry, that I don't give myself a lack of moisture in my body. By putting what I put in my body, I'm ensuring that I'm vibrant. And a lot of this, I get so tired of us as cultures looking at how big we are or what we weigh, or it's not about that. The way I eat, the way I live, the way I treat my body is because I want to thrive. I want to thrive. I don't want to just live. I want to explode into the world around me. And that is why I choose to eat the way I eat.
Wonderful. Thank you. How about you, Samantha?
Well, I'm kind of on that journey. I mean, I'm far removed from where Sharon's at right now. She's just radiant. I this week chose to give up meat. And well, it was last week actually, and I haven't missed it at all. And instead, I've been choosing just nice things like fruit and ginger tea and chia seeds and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm in terms of the kind of things that I put in my body, far from perfect. But I'm making sort of better choices every single day. So, it's onwards and upwards for me, I think.
Awesome. Right. Well, I know for me, there was a long time where I felt the choice was made for me because of the celiac of I can't have. And this year, and obviously at the time, the doctor said to me, because I discovered all of this trying to get pregnant, could not get pregnant, was infertile for about 5 years. And then my gynecologist, he's going through every single test we've done. And he says to me, the only thing I can think of is an autoimmune disease, and the most likely one is celiac. So he sent to have me tested. And of course, I'd been through 10 years of misdiagnosis and taking medications I never needed. And discover this. And the comments made to me by the doctors at the time was, well, after you've had the baby and she's weaned, you probably could go back to eating gluten, and I was like, I don't want to feel like that anymore. It was like, oh yeah, let me just carry on killing the microvilli in my gut because, who needs those anyway? This year, of course, I decided one day I was going to try gluten to see if, how did it sit with me? I haven't had it for 5 years. What happens when I have it? And I will say 2 weeks later, I was still lamenting it. I was still not feeling myself. And I was like, I'm not going down that road. So for me, I'm choosing not to have gluten or anything of that matter because I want to feel my best self. I want to feel energetic. I want to feel vibrant. I want to wake up in the morning with no brain fog. And so, I'm not vegetarian, but funnily enough, I always discover I feel better when it's mostly vegetarian. So, that's probably 4 days a week rather than full on, but it's still that thing of this is how I choose because that's what my body likes. That's how I feel better. And, I know for me, the choice, and this, thank you, Sarah, was earlier this year, Sarah said to me, have you tried just totally going off dairy milk and just totally switching over to coconut milk or almond or whatever your alternative choice is? And so I went back to trying coconut milk again, and now it sits easily with me, whereas a year and a half ago when I tried it, it wasn't. But a year and a half ago, I was using milk because of not enough gastric acid. And so that was my calmer. That was what calmed me down. And since I started taking care of all the other issues, Now coconut milk actually sits easily. So what am I choosing? I'm choosing to feel better. I'm choosing no bloating. I'm choosing more energy. So Sarah, what else are you choosing?
Oh gosh. I'm choosing to really pay attention to what happens in my body after I eat something. I'm choosing to pay attention to the emotions that I'm experiencing leading up to an eating occasion. And like just really paying attention to, oh, am I really stressed out about something? And so I'm really looking forward to overeating something that's really carbolicious, or am I really tuning into, okay, I'm experiencing a negative emotion, sadness or something. My mom just passed away in the middle of August. And so I've had a lot of opportunities to pay attention to, gosh, what am I really feeling as I'm going into the kitchen deciding what am I going to put into my body. And some days I do a lot better than others. Some days I feel like I'm just saying, screw it. I really just want to experience, chewing the chips and all of that rather than knowing that I could make a alternative food choice that would feel better in my body. And then I have fibromyalgia. So certain things that I eat will cause me to feel really inflamed, and it just makes it like the next day really hard to move around and and cue the brain fog and whatnot. But I'm choosing to embrace the feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, Sharon, I know that there's a lot more to your choices. Because you're choosing morning routine, for example. You're choosing how do you prepare for the day, how you're showing up for the day, for example. What else are you choosing?
Choosing freedom. Really, the last true freedom that in many countries that we have is what goes from here to here. That's a fundamental freedom that we still have as human beings, and there aren't a lot of them left.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing the truth because for instance, I don't believe that The Matrix was a movie. I believe it was a documentary. And I believe that a lot of our reality is engineered around us. And I believe that a lot of that reality is engineered through chemicals. And a lot of those chemicals arrive into our systems through our food and through our drink. And I make the choice to surrender to that illusion, to surrender to that matrix when I put the foods associated with that lifestyle in my body. So if I put foods of convenience into my body, I am choosing to surrender to the matrix that has been programmed around me through chemicals, foods, society, movies. That's what I'm choosing. And I don't want that. So I'm choosing freedom by changing the way that I eat. And there's a lot of personal responsibility in eating well and in taking care of your skin and your body. I'm not going to lie to you out there. It's not easy, especially in the cultures that we live in. It's not an easy choice to choose to thrive. Everything around us is set up in such a way so as to discourage us not only from thriving, but from asking any questions concerning why we currently don't. So every choice I make, what I put on my body, what I put in my body, what I put in my mind, what I put in my ears, no matter where it is, if I put it in my soul, if I put it in my heart, is it going to prevent me from thriving? Because trust and believe, we were put here to thrive. We were not put here to half-ass it. We were not put here to barely make it. We were not put here to be a little bit sick, a little bit well. We were put here to be magnificent machines that thrive, and not only thrive, perform beyond our wildest imaginations. I want you to imagine what our world would be like if we taught nutrition from a young age and encouraged our next generation not to partake in the matrix. if we encouraged our next generation to step into the fullness of who and what they are in the reality of the world that they live in, rather than within the confines of what has been created for us by the powers that hopefully were and no longer are. So everything that I do, all I have is my own personal responsibility. I can't be responsible for you, Beth. I can't be responsible for you, Sammy D, or for Sarah, or for my partner, or for my parents, or my sister, or my brother, or my friends. I can only be responsible for myself, make choices that are positive for me, and then live an example that encourages and frees those around me to make similar choices.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Sharon. So Tony Lee says to Sarah, I love that you're choosing to embrace the feelings, because that's been her work and what she's been working on these days. And, you know, Tony Lee says also the kids are getting programmed by the Matrix at such a young age, though. And I would agree. I mean, I even see it with my daughter. You know, we go to McDonald's once and now it's, oh, look, there's McDonald's. Now, what attracts her? That there's a playground. But try going there and going to the playground without buying anything. And so, you know, it's a case of, okay, where else are there playgrounds? And as long as there's a playground, she's happy. But, you know, I could see how the programming happens for parents. It's a rainy afternoon. What do I do with the kids? What's an easy thing to do? But what are you teaching them? You know, and obviously, no, I mean, like think about it. I was reading a book today on habits, and, you know, and he was really, you know, opening chapter is, you know, the French fries at McDonald's are made specifically so that in that first bite, when it hits your tongue, you get the salt and the fat
and the sugar.
It goes directly to your pleasure centers. You're hooked.
And the animal protein.
Of course.
Yeah.
You're hooked.
They flavor it with a little beef protein also to really get you hooked.
Yeah. So anyway, Samantha D, what are you choosing?
What am I choosing? I have listened to everyone talk, and the biggest thing I'm choosing at the moment is to just keep going. Because, you know, some days, you know, as Sarah said, you know, there's times that you want to think, oh, screw it, you know, and go for the chips or go for the whatever. But I'm choosing not to, but I'm also choosing to just keep going. You know, it's my responsibility to make the changes that make sense to me. And I think that just by not, you know, not crumbling at the first sort of hurdle really helps me to just carry on and reinforce what these new foods or, you know, giving up meat are making me feel like. And, you know, I mean, some days I kind of think, oh, God, I could really do with a caramel macchiato with an extra shot and some syrup and cream on top. But I don't. You know, it's going back to the story of driving past the takeaway store, like I'm scoping it out to rob it. You know, I just choose not to. But the biggest thing for me is just keep going, and I'm choosing to keep going and make small changes until I'm optimal in myself.
Hey, Wendy, you made it. Thank you so much.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. This is Wendy. She's showing up under the name Sarah Wallen, but
Hi,
it's
Wendy.
I'll be the other Sarah Wallen.
Okay. So we're talking today about total choice in the sense of I choose. And obviously we've gone through the choices of eating. And now we're talking a little bit broader than that about the choice of lifestyle that we're living, about how we're choosing to show up and what that means to each of us. And for me, I know that involves quite a bit of what am I choosing to create in my life? What relationships am I choosing to create? How do I choose to connect to other people. I know that in the last year, I have been a lot, I don't want to say reclusive, but I haven't been just out there with everybody because somebody says you need to come. If somebody says you need to come and I'm feeling obligated as opposed to wanting to, I'm sitting there going, maybe not. Now, if I'm feeling, yes, I definitely want to be there. Absolutely. Yes. But the other thing, I was looking at my schedule for this week and I was like, I haven't organized coffee with anyone for this week. Who am I going to have coffee with? And when am I going to have coffee with them? And there was just that check-in with myself of, oh, this week I've got everybody organized for things like this where we're meeting together, online. But I was like, well, wait a minute. Where's my human connection of actually seeing the person? How am I choosing to show up in that sense? And the other thing that I really got in touch with again this week and last week as well was back to writing. I've been really struggling. I had the task of getting my website up and running. So I was writing like proper pages as opposed to writing, blog posts. And I was really struggling with that. I was struggling with the whole formality of this is what you need to do versus I can write whatever I want when I'm writing blogs. And I got all of that done. And I have to say the freedom of, time to create again. I'm so excited and so happy. But one thing I really noticed this week was I stopped eating so much. And it was like, what was happening when I had to write something as opposed to what I wanted to write? And that's been, something I'm still mulling over and digesting, so to speak, of, what's happening when I say I have to do something versus, well, this is what I would like to do and where I'd like to spend my energy.
The whole point about total choice, right?
Right. Absolutely.
That's
about total choice.
Choice is our individuality. That is who we are. Yeah. Yesterday I had a very productive day and everything went smoothly. And I did like a week's worth of things I've been avoiding. I hardly ate, when I'm procrastinating, putting things off and not being productive. I want to eat all the time. I want to fill every gap with food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. When I was writing whenever I'm writing creatively, I don't think about food at all. So, it's kind of nice. And like you say, when there's things you have to do, with me, it's like, I'll just have a coffee first, or I'll just make something to eat first. But if it's something I want to do, like writing, I'm away. And I don't stop to eat or think to eat or anything like that. So yeah, there's definitely a difference between things you want to do.
You don't even notice the hunger, I think, when you're in that zone. It's not even a physical sensation that you even notice.
And I always try and make a few hours for some kind of creativity because it means it's getting that out of my system.
Well, one of the things that I was amazed at, we watched over the weekend a movie called May I Be Frank. And I have to say that I was absolutely blown away when Frank starts painting. He's 18 days into this diet, and suddenly what emerges for him is a creativity that he didn't even know he had. Mm-hmm. So, for me in life, it is what am I choosing? Because 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I was struggling to write one blog a week. Now I'm struggling to write 5 blogs a week, admittedly, but that's my struggle. Okay. But, it's one of those things of, when I dealt with the food issues, the creativity issues, well, actually, when I addressed the creativity issues, the food disappeared. Let's be honest. The honesty from my part was that when I decided to find my voice and be authentically me and say what I meant, I didn't need to hide it anymore with food. That's my choice.
I think that an important thing to point out here is that your body recognizes hunger, whether it's for food or not. Your body recognizes when there's something that needs to be done, when there's a hunger for something that is missing in your life. And it doesn't always have to be food, but your body will settle for food because that's what's available and that's what's been chemically programmed to satiate you. So you could have a driving motivation to write a book, to make an album, to learn how to play an instrument, to have a conversation that you need to have with someone. And your body registers the hunger for those things the same way it registers hunger physically, but you will satiate and be satisfied with the physical hunger issue because it's the easiest to do. And we are taught as a society from a young age now that everything's hard. We might as well just give up, down to mothers bringing children into the world. It's this cultural norm now that it sucks to be a mom. It sucks to be a parent. You're going to screw up your child. So just go ahead and surrender and have a beer. And I don't buy into that. I refuse to buy into the idea that this is going to suck. I don't want to live my life that way, but it's important to understand our bodies register hunger, all spectrums of hunger.
And yet, I mean, I don't know what your experience is. And I had to learn to do this. I had to literally put my hand where my stomach was and go, is this hunger? To really, my check-in was, well, wait a minute, where am I feeling this?
So a lot of times it's boredom. Yeah. We are complex, incredible creatures who have been programmed down into blobs that sit in front of a magical box. We were not made to be this sedentary. We were not made to be this surrendering. We were not made to be this disinterested and disconnected from life, and yet we are.
Yeah. Well,
I totally agree with you.
I've noticed that when I'm in higher levels of consciousness, I actually don't need as much food. When I'm filled with vital life force, I forget to eat because my consciousness or awareness is plugged into universal source. And I can totally get that. I mean, how many times have you done a spiritual retreat where you're eating hardly anything at all, but you are connected to source? Or let's say you went hiking for a day. And you're out in nature and you're so enthralled with where you are and what you're seeing and the moment that is, you're not thinking, oh my God, I'm so hungry. Now, when you stop, you might go, oh, I was hungry. I hadn't realized. But it's not until you take that moment to stop that you realize, oh, wait, there's physical hunger I hadn't noticed.
And I think women that struggle with overeating and obesity forget that feeling because they don't wait until they feel, physical symptoms of hunger before they eat, because that's their addiction. It's food. And, when you first sort of experience those real hunger symptoms, it's quite enlightening, actually. Wow, I'm actually hungry.
Yeah, it's very different, isn't it?
I mean, women, who overeat or have a food addiction or some other negative attitude towards food, they don't know what it feels like to be hungry because they eat and eat and eat and eat.
Yeah.
Can I talk a moment about what might be causing all of those symptoms of boredom and chronic overeating, and touching back on what Sharon was talking about, just the programming that we get at a very early age. We are incredibly complex beings, and we have this incredible supercomputer of a brain in our head that likes to find the path of least resistance to get to an answer. So if you do something repeatedly, you are creating this neural loop where your brain will go, oh, this is where I go from A to B, the shortest distance. It's almost like we have a super highway for our neural network. When we get a stimulus, whatever it is, it could be boredom, it could be anything, it could be actual physical hunger, but we take the path of least resistance. And so if you are experiencing an emotion or possibly a physical hunger, whatever it is, your brain is going to send a signal down that superhighway that's going to cause you to get up and do whatever your entrained habit is.
Can I give an example of that would make sense to a lot more people? I want you to think about backing your car out of your driveway. Now, the first time you ever did that, you got in your car, you start the car, you're checking your wing mirrors, you're checking you might be looking over your shoulder, checking where you're going. You're doing this carefully because you're not quite sure of the measurements, right? Till you get out on the road and you put it in drive. Now, after 6 months of backing out of that driveway every single day, do you still look in the mirrors the same way?
Nope.
No. Your body just knows how to do that. Just automatically, there is, like Sarah just said, that superhighway is already written up.
Yeah. But the great thing is that at any moment in time, you can choose a new route and you can rewire your brain, and you don't have to just succumb to the habitual slide down that superhighway. At any moment, you can change it.
Which is the challenge for changing something in your morning routine, that I think people fail to understand how profound a single change can be. We get this message from religion and from society that one change isn't enough. It's not going to be profound enough. It's not enough dedication on your part. You're not working hard enough. But change happens one thing at a time. 3 years ago, I drank Diet Mountain Dew all day, every day, ate Funyuns, and my idea of a healthy meal was a wheat bun on a Carl's Jr. burger. So you're looking at somebody here right now who's completely different than what I was 3 years ago, and I didn't wake up on day one this way. This has been a series of small, manageable changes over an extended period of time. And part of the reason we're doing this challenge is for you to get this seed of faith that this can happen for me too. That I only need small, intermittent, consistent steps to get here too. That I don't have to be this way when I wake up tomorrow. It's giving you an environment and a safe place to try things, to fail, to figure out who you are, so that you too in 3 years can look back and go, wow, what a train wreck I was.
It's my favorite subject because it takes a certain amount of time to form a habit. So let's say, for instance, you're brought up to have breakfast cereal every morning with, milk, possibly even sugar, in addition to whatever's already in the cereal. That becomes a habit. So that pathway in your brain is really strong, and it's the easiest one to travel along. So when you get up in the morning, you have, a sugary breakfast cereal because that's what you've programmed yourself to do. And by saying I choose, you're going along a weaker path, but the more you do it, it just becomes just as strong. I mean, 3 years ago, I started, instead of drinking coffee all day long when I was at work, I chose green tea. And, to start with, it was something new. It tasted weird. I couldn't get used to it. Someone used to waft by with a coffee and I'd be like, oh. And I stuck with it. And if you stick with it, it becomes a habit, and it becomes that well-traveled highway, and you prefer it over whatever it is you chose it against. So just those tiny words, I choose something else,
Absolutely.
is huge. Like, you have to practice it like everything, but small changes consistently practiced, like Sharon says, you could be there in 3 years easily.
And one of the things that was really powerful for me about this topic was that when we're giving into cravings, it's as if we had no choice. I had no freedom. And so when we're saying now, I prefer, or I'd rather, or I choose, I got my freedom back. Now I get to say it's not the craving or that hunger driving me. It's okay, how do I want to feel? And what relationship would I like to have with food? Because if it was with another person and they're beating up on me, I might choose to not have that relationship anymore. But my food's beating up on me and I can't choose.
I just want to echo what you're saying, that because, as you know, and not everybody does, I was in a 12-step program for food addiction and also for alcohol. And one of the biggest turning points for me when I got early into the program was a quote from one of the materials that they like you to read. And it said, I didn't have to drink. And it was like, that said so much to me. It's not I don't want to. It's not I can't get away from it. It was I don't have to. And it was probably the turning point for me in actually getting to be abstinent and sober for a while.
Yeah. Well, it's also recognizing the addictive nature of our food. So the food that I eat is we all need a 12-step program. I'm also sober 15 years. And I can tell you that the way we interact with food is as unhealthy as the way that I interacted with alcohol. We are all addicted in one way or another. And part of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, the first step, people often miss that this is a 2-part step. Admitted that that I'm powerless over alcohol, that my life has become unmanageable. And we look at that and we think that, oh, well, because of 1, 2 happened. No, I am miserable and I am unable to manage my life when I'm drunk. And I'm miserable and unable to manage my life when I'm sober. I'm fucked if I do, and I'm fucked if I don't. And it's the same thing with our food. We are addicted to our food because it has been designed for us to be addicted to it. It is a money-making gimmick, and we are falling victim to it. And what we need to realize is we eat to satiate the fact that we are not happy, and we are not happy because we are in a culture that is designed to keep us unhappy. So we use food for a specific purpose, and that becomes our solution to the fact that we can't sit still in our own skin and be okay. We can't do that. We can't live with ourselves and breathe in our own skin and not need something to turn that off and help us. And food has been designed to be that solution. And part of getting out of this nasty cycle of downward spiral is recognizing I'm screwed if I eat this food, and I'm screwed if I don't. I'm screwed either way. So let's stop looking at the food as the solution and start looking at fixing what drives me to eat in the first place. Because physical sobriety from food, not putting food in your body, is the easiest thing on earth. You just don't bend your elbow. What's hard is is getting rid of the stuff that makes you want to bend your elbow in the first place. The thing that drives you to do that in the first place. And that's what Nourish is about. We are here to help you address every area of your life, not just, hey, guess what? Don't eat. Well, if I couldn't not eat, I wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just it. I mean, like, I didn't have to address the eating. I had to address what I wasn't giving voice to. Yeah. I had to address my lack of authenticity in my life. I looked in the mirror yesterday, and for the first time, I was like, oh my God, I got my pre-baby body back. Now
You're looking banging, lady. You're looking banging.
It's not as toned and muscular as I used to be. No, okay. But I looked in the mirror for the first time in 3 years and thought, wow, if I just started doing 300 sit-ups a day, this is it.
If I started doing 300 sit-ups a day, I would die.
Yes, start with 30.
My stomach would be like, screw you.
Okay. I'm not going to start with 300. I'm going to start with 50, but still.
Do a 4-minute plank every day. That'll sort you out.
Absolutely. Of course it would. I mean, it's just about toning now. But, for the first time in 3 years, I'm like, oh my God, I did it.
But that took how long? 3 years, right? 3 years of little steps.
Well, no, this only took me like 8 months. I binged through last year.
Awesome. You still got here, dude.
Oh, absolutely. But it was simply, what am I not addressing? It was, what am I not looking at? And what was happening was I kept blaming the food.
Mm-hmm.
And you do the diet for 2 weeks and you get some results. And so you stop. But you never address the root of the problem. And it was simply, this isn't working for me. So how am I going to choose to deal with this? What's the new way I'm going to choose to live my life?
And it's like when I'm standing in front of the cupboard and my partner doesn't eat the way I do. She has a completely different lifestyle. So there's food in the house that I wish was not in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But when I pull open that cupboard and I look at that food and my mind tells me that I want it, the trick is to play the tape all the way through to the end. Not just stopping at the addiction, but what's going to happen if I eat this? Well, I'm not going to lie to you right away. I'm going to feel real good. Yeah. I'm going to feel real good and my mouth is going to feel real good. Yeah. In about half an hour, my stomach is going to start to make weird sounds. Yeah. My butt is going to feel a little bit funny, to be totally honest with you. My skin, if I continue to eat that way, the luster in my skin will start to die down. Yeah. I won't sleep as well at night because I've got those chemicals firing off in my nervous system when I'm trying to achieve REM cycle sleep. When I wake up the next morning, I don't have the sleep that I need. So for instance, when I went to go do this bungee jump, I took a bunch of processed foods. I'm not going to lie, because guys, I'm not perfect. Okay. Yeah. I'm no better than you. We're the same people. So I went and now, were they vegan? Yeah. But if it's processed food, who really cares? Because it's processed food. And I take all this with me. I'm up really early in the morning. I come back. I got very little sleep. I got very little sleep the next night. And then yesterday morning, I'm waking up and trying to hit my week again. And I'm not the same person. I'm not, Johnny on the spot, happy with that vibrant and lively smile because I made a poor food choice. So it's playing the tape all the way through to the end. What is going to happen all the way through to the end when this food leaves my body, which takes about 72 hours? What choice am I making for the next 72 hours of my life? Am I making a choice that's going to guide me towards thriving, or am I making a choice that's going to drive me towards making more food decisions like this poor one right now in the next 72 hours?
Yeah. And that's just it. It's, I mean, I know for me, I don't mind having gluten now. Oh my God, I wish I could eat pizza. But I know.
Yes.
I know
pizza face
that within an hour's time, I'm going to start feeling bloated. And for the next 3 days, I am going to regret this decision. And for the next 2 weeks, everyone around me is going to regret that decision because of the irritability. Now, I'm not so sleep deprived anymore like I used to be, because when I was eating gluten, I mean, I don't remember, other than the last 2.5, 3 months, a good night's sleep in the last 12 years. Now, I know that my gut is healing because I'm sleeping well for 6 hours. That's new. But, so that's what I'm choosing. I am choosing, I want to sleep at night. I'm choosing, I want restful sleep, deep sleep. That's what I'm choosing.
And there's nothing better, is there, when you sort of wake up in the morning, you've had just such a great night's sleep and you slept so well. It's just amazing.
You feel plugged into your day. You wake up your day. You wake up at the beginning of the day and it's like, oh, I don't have to do a bunch of things to feel present. I'm already present. And that's it's so nice not to have to fight that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, ladies, I think we are drawing this to a close now, and I hope to see you all next week on Ditch the Diet and Face the Feelings. As I think we've really discussed this evening, there's so much to face. It's not the food. The food is not the issue. It's all the feelings, it's all those lifestyle choices around it that are in our lives of how am I going to choose to show up. That really, when we address all of those, food just takes its right place as nourishment. So if you guys want to come see more of us, Sharon, give us the details on Nourish.
Nourish is a group within Facebook. You can look it up. It's the only Nourish in all caps. If you go into your search field in Facebook and enter Nourish in all caps, 67 members, has a picture of salmon and some other lovely fruits on the front. We're doing a 14-week initiative within Nourish called Nourish to Flourish. And each week is and today was our first forks over knives recipe for steaming. So we're starting our daily cooking with forks over knives. I've decided that instead of scheduling, I'm just going to start raining, really great content on you guys and kind of let it be a surprise as to when it comes. It'll be recorded in the group, so you have the chance to go back and use it at your leisure. Yeah. We're raffling off not only a Gaia TV membership, but Food Matters TV has also agreed to give us a year-long membership to raffle off at the end of the 14 weeks. So in order to be eligible for both of those raffles, all we ask is that we see a post from you, just one every week in Nourish. I'm trying to think of it. We are going to have yoga on the weekends. We will have a movie on the weekends that we can get together and watch. And then throughout the week, we'll have the Ditch the Diet panel every Tuesday. So it's just lots and lots of information and stuff for you to be able to draw on to basically build yourself up for what you want to be in this new year.
And also, we've offered to everybody that's in Nourish a one-on-one coaching session with one of us anytime during these 14 weeks. So, just come and ask us for it. We're offering one breakthrough session of just come and ask for help in the group.
And I really want to point out here, when you go through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, you go through a process that helps you address the way that you are storing and experiencing your emotions. And while I still wholeheartedly believe in AA and may get shot by some people in AA for saying this, a breakthrough session can bring you just as much freedom. A breakthrough session can provide you just as much forward movement as a year working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Not that the two shouldn't be done if that's what you need, but we're providing this to you. And I want to explain to you why we're providing this to you, because it's so powerful and it can have such a profound impact on your life.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, Wendy, for coming in and joining us. Thank